in May, I was rear-ended at a roundabout, and I'm still having issues to this day. But when I look back at that situation, I know with certainty that had I not been hit, the lady that hit me would have taken out motorcyclists.
Yeah.
Well, I stopped because that motorcycle pulled out, and she was like, she's like, I didn't see the motorcycle. Like, what are you talking about? Like, when that happened, I was like, God, why? But then I thought, you know what? Maybe I was just part of this to protect this guy. Like, he just kept driving and probably never thought twice.
This is Ryan and Michelle, and welcome to the Celebrate MarriageCast, where we hope to restore and reclaim godly marriages through honest and real conversations.
Welcome to episode 62, and thank you to our listener. Thank you for joining us today. And in the spirit of Thanksgiving week, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
We're thankful for our listeners.
Yeah.
And this entire team of the Celebrate MarriageCast, what a road it's been. And we're just so grateful for you. We're grateful for you listening every week. We're grateful for you working on your marriage and really just building the kingdom through these godly relationships. So thank you for being here and investing in your relationship today.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Absolutely. So, Michelle, in the spirit of gratitude and Thanksgiving, we wanted to do a little throwback here.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
Yeah, throwback all the way back to episode 9.
Okay.
Broken leg type gratitude.
I loved that episode. One of my favorites.
Yeah. We wanted to maybe name this other broken leg type gratitude.
Broke both legs.
Or broken
metaphorically
knee gratitude or
torn ACL type gratitude. Would people get that? Here's a situation. Life throws you lemons, and then again, more lemons.
Yeah.
Broken leg type gratitude, part 2.
Part 2.
We could just call it part 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Well, you guys will see what it is. Whatever the title is what it ended up with.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, so I mean, we've shared some of the struggles we've had over the last year. There's been a bit of a list. In particular, torn ACL for myself.
A little bit of a soccer injury for Ryan.
Right. Yeah, there's some themes here, but
there have been some themes.
Right. But in the midst of all of this, and this is what we want to talk about today is continuing to see gratitude, continuing to see the good in people, in the good in our marriage, in the good in those things that are around you. So we wanted to bring this episode back because I think as a society, I think as human beings, like we just need more gratitude.
Yeah. So
how do we do this? How do we have more gratitude in our lives and in our marriages?
All right. Great question. I want to start with 1 Thessalonians 5:18. It says, actually, we're going to start on the 16th verse. So 1 Thessalonians 5:16, this is from the New Living Translation. So always be joyful, never stop praying, be thankful in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you who belong to Christ Jesus. Again, let me say, always be joyful, never stop praying, be thankful in all circumstances. Keywords there, Ryan. In all circumstances.
Right.
For this is God's will for you who belong to Christ Jesus. So Ryan actually wrote a list here of our toils and troubles. And here's the thing, you guys. I am not reading this list to be like comparing difficulties at all. I want you to see how we've seen the good in it in each situation. Because as you look for blessings in your life, it's kind of like when you have a new car and then you think you're driving a really unique, special car, and then you drive around and you're like, oh my gosh, 25 people just on my way to work have the same whatever car. Gratitude is like that. Blessings are like that. The more that you train yourself to look for it, the more that you will see.
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually science behind this. Like there's something that activates in your brain.
Really?
That's like, when you buy that car and then all of a sudden you start seeing that car like everywhere else, it's because it's like been activated.
Oh, interesting.
In your brain.
So we need to activate the blessing detector
Right.
in your brain.
Oh, I like that.
The blessing detector.
The blessing detector.
Let's activate it, you guys. This week, that is your challenge. And
Yes,
here's what I want to tell you guys too, because I would put money on the fact that you, our listener, have a list just as crazy as ours. So I just want you to know that you are not alone and that we are, as people of faith, we are resilient. And I just want to share how we've been able to turn to God and see the blessings. So that's why I'm sharing this list. And if you've listened for a while, you may have heard these sprinkled throughout. We don't really talk about this anywhere than the show.
Yeah.
Because that's not who we are. Like, there's really no point. So we just had some stuff happen today, actually. We brought Ryan's car to the shop last night. We had an anniversary trip out of town. We got back and then the battery stopped working. We charged it, died, charged it, died. I had to go pick him up from work. And so we brought his car to the shop. On the way back from the shop, we're driving my car. We hear a pop on the interstate. We're like, what is that? We look back. We don't see any debris flying. We don't see anything in the road. So we keep driving, go home. This morning, Ryan's going to take my car to work. I'm going to walk Thomas to school in the rain. So we're setting ourselves up for a really great day here. Ryan's going to take my car. I'm without a car, going to walk our child to school in the rain. Ryan goes outside to our garage and was like, Michelle, your tire is flat. We go out, there's this huge metal spike in it. That was the pop on the interstate.
Yeah.
So that was super cool. We had both of our cars in the shop today. I've never had that happen before.
Yeah.
But you know what was cool? I was thinking about this, and I don't know if you guys have thought this way before too. But originally, Ryan, I was going to maybe drive you to work. And I said, you know what? Just go, you take my car, you drive. I feel like God was just getting you off the road. For whatever reason, you were not supposed to be driving at 7:15 this morning. I was like, do you ever think about that? Like maybe God was protecting you.
Sure.
I don't know. It's going kind of, down that road. But so Ryan's car, we thought, you know what? It might be the alternator. It actually was just a dead battery.
Yeah.
They just replaced the battery. Yeah. So I feel like we got off really easy there. And I was like, oh, praise the Lord. It's just a dead battery.
Yeah.
And then my car, I thought for sure it was all gouged up. I thought, oh, they're going to have to put a whole new tire on it. Nope. They patched it.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
Right.
So today I was like, oh God, you're so good. Like these blessings, our cars weren't really that bad.
Right. Yeah.
How great is that? So,
absolutely.
So if you reflect back to the start of the year, around March 3rd, I remember the date exactly. My mom got diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. It was right after my birthday, the day after, and just this whole whirlwind of things. Awful diagnosis, right? That diagnosis, Ryan, actually prompted something that ended up being a huge blessing. It propelled our family to take a trip.
Yeah, family trip.
Our family my mom, my brother, we went to Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
And that was amazing.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think we would have done that had we not been prompted into that, really looking at life from this more urgent perspective.
Right.
Then in April, our basement flooded. And we found out when we started peeling carpet and the drywall back and stuff, we had mold in our basement. And this is actually about 2 weeks before graduation for our daughter. We were going to have people staying at our house. Do you know what blessing came out of that?
What's that?
Can you think of a blessing?
I don't know.
Our life group, one of the guys from our life group came, tore out our drywall, fixed the mold problem because he had actually worked for a company that used to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And saved us like thousands of dollars, and then used one of his contract connections. He's a contractor. And they came and fixed our drywall. Yeah. And it was amazing.
Absolutely.
Now we still have to put the rest of the room back together with the flooring and stuff, but it was incredible. I'm like, wow, like what a blessing that we are in this group of people that just want to pour into us and that love us and care about us. In May, I was rear-ended at a roundabout and I'm still having issues to this day. But when I look back at that situation, I know with certainty that had I not been hit, the lady that hit me would have taken out motorcyclists.
Yeah.
100% fact.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know it like just to my core, because when that whole thing happened, I was like, well, I stopped because that motorcycle pulled out, and she was like, she's like, I didn't see the motorcycle. Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh my gosh, people are just flying through the roundabout. I just felt that. Like when that happened, I was like, God, why? But then I thought, you know what? Maybe I was just part of this to protect this guy. Like he just kept driving and probably never thought twice. But anyways, I feel like that was a blessing for him. Definitely not for me, but for him. July was your ACL.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say there was like one big blessing out of that, but there were lots of tiny little micro blessings. And I brought my gratitude journal. We were kind of jotting some things down, but just, all of the people that stopped by, the food, so many people that messaged us during that time.
Yeah.
Can you think of other blessings from that ACL?
Yeah, I think that's a big one of just realizing like all of the people that came to help. I think neighbors, church family. I think just almost being overwhelmed by that.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I'll say, this is maybe more for me, like my doctor was so amazing. Continues to be so, because like all through this, he kept like grouping me into like the professional athlete
totally did
category.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know, it just like boosted my confidence and like my ego a little bit of like, hey, this is what we do for all the professionals. And I was like, yeah. And it just, but it was just such a blessing from a standpoint of like, he was like, hey, look, we want to get you back. We want to get you back to doing what you want to do. And for recovery and for, going through, like, that is such a great feeling to have somebody like on your side that's not like, hey, you're getting older, you should quit.
Right.
More like, hey, like just my last appointment, he was like, hey, we'll have you ready for spring soccer. And I was like, okay, I don't know about that, but
you broke his heart a little bit. You were like, I don't know if I'm going to. And he was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And I like at one point, Michelle, I looked at you and I'm like, does he realize I'm like not a professional soccer player? Like,
oh, he totally does.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
you're thought maybe he thought I was, getting ready for the World Cup or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, that was a complete sidetrack. Sorry.
No, so many blessings. And gosh, you guys, they do just keep coming. So I don't know. So that was probably the most recent. This fall, my aunt, who was diagnosed with cancer the same week as my mom, she actually passed away. Super sad situation there. But when we kind of, because of the things that have happened in your life, some things started happening to her. And Ryan just looked at me and was like, Michelle, you need to go. Like, you need to go this weekend. You couldn't make it because you think we're really fresh out of surgery.
Yeah.
Couldn't even travel in a car at that point. But God used that to like prompt me to go. And we had such a great visit the weekend before she passed. And I'm just so grateful for that, like that time with her and those memories. So all that to say, I don't know what this year has held for you, but I hope that at some point, at some time, that God will reveal like how he's using that. And it might be years before you see that. Some you're able to see quicker than others. I feel like it's kind of like this stained glass work of art that's being put together, all these little broken pieces. And then someday you might look at it and think, oh gosh, God, that's what you were building, this beautiful masterpiece. But seeing the blessing, and Ryan, I had this thought before the show that I wanted to share. If you can't see the little blessings, how on earth will you ever see the big blessings?
Oh, that's good.
If you can't see the little blessings right in front of you that God has given you, how are you ever going to see the big ones?
Yeah.
You might be thinking, I never get blessed. I don't have any big blessings. God doesn't, nothing good happens to me. You got to start with the little ones.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Taking those thoughts and really looking and then giving God the credit too. Those happen.
Yeah. Michelle, that's so good. I think, it's so important to look, to open your eyes and really look. And we understand, like, especially in relationships, in marriage, right? Like
let's tie it into marriage.
It might be a struggle. Like you might be in a spot where you're struggling, but man, sometimes you just have to see the smallest things, like maybe your spouse took out the garbage and it was like, hey, thanks. That was a really big help for me, or something like that. But just seeing those blessings as they happen, because it truly is like you will activate something. What did you call it? Like
the blessing activator.
The blessing activator. I love that. Like,
and what you water and what you feed grows.
Yeah.
So activate those blessings. Like you're going to see them more.
It truly will. It truly will happen. You will activate your blessing. You will just see it. You will start to see them as you focus on things. And again, it might be something super small, and it, whatever it is, but just continue to look for those things. I guarantee, like, your life, your relationships will change because you'll start to see the good. You'll start to see, hey, man, like my spouse, like, oh, wow, hey, like, thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing that. Like, and all of a sudden, like, you'll start to see these things compound, and it just, gratitude will take over.
Yeah, I think it does rewire how you think, how you see, and how you interpret things. So, it's like our example today with the cars. Probably a lot of people would be complaining, oh gosh, both of our cars. But I really was so grateful when I was thinking about that. Hey, we didn't have to get a whole new tire. We got a patch. Yay.
Right.
Right. I thought it was your alternator because it was just like clicking and it wasn't even like holding a charge. And then it kept dying within an hour or so being jumped. And I thought, gosh, I wonder if it's something more than the battery. Maybe there's something, but it's just a battery. Yeah. So I feel like got some blessings.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But I think that's training it too, and just knowing that God is for you. He loves you. Things are still going to happen, but can you start to look for blessings in those things?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really important to look for these things in your life, in your marriage, in your relationship. Look for these areas to be grateful. And then the second thing that I think is really crucial is write them down. Something happens when you put pen to paper and you actually like create a gratitude list. We started this, it was a few weeks back, Michelle, that I think I looked at you and I'm like, man, I feel like we've really been blessed lately.
Yeah.
And, you had this idea of like, oh, we should write them down.
Yeah.
Like, let's start writing them down and keeping track of these things. Again, because it started to activate. And then I think once you have that activation and you start seeing it, you write it down. What happens then? You become more aware of it. Because you write something down and all of a sudden it's like it comes to mind.
Yeah, I think, two things. So I think that first, we forget things really quickly because we started to write them down and we didn't finish that list. And then I asked you the next week and I said, Ryan, what were all those gratitude things we wanted to write down? And it took us a while to remember.
Yeah.
So I think that when you do get those blessings, really, it's almost like you need to do something to make yourself really like aware that it happened. One thing that we do in our house that we have done is, I don't know where this came from. Is it a worship song? I don't know. It was like we'd throw our hands up in the air and be like, open the floodgates of heaven.
It is a worship song, but you started this and it's really great.
Anytime, this is especially when you, I think back when you broke your leg, when things would happen or you'd get a random check reimbursement or just, those crazy things that happen that you're not expecting. I would instantly want to give God the praise. So I'd fling my hands up in the air and then you guys started doing it. Like, open the floodgates of heaven, because when you do that, it's like you're giving God praise.
Yeah.
And you're recognizing, hey, I want myself to know, but I also want our family to know that this little thing, I'm giving God all the credit for this because this is pretty amazing. And I just want to give him the credit. And I want you guys all to see that. So, Ryan, I don't know if you know, I actually started this gratitude journal. This is not recent that I started writing them down. I've gone through seasons of writing in it, and I need to get back on track like we just did. But I actually started this the week that you had your pulmonary embolism from your broken leg. I started it in 22. So I bought this cute little gratitude journal on Amazon. You can find a whole bunch of cute ones, but it just has, it has spots. Today I'm grateful for. It has the day's blanks for the day's date, and then you have like 3 lines where you can write stuff. But I love that idea to write them down.
Yeah, I just something, like I said, something changes when you write something down. It's I think studies have shown this, that like your retention, like when you can hear something and it's like whatever, you can retain a certain amount, but then like when you write something down, that goes drastically up. And Michelle, I'm going to bring something back here because I think this was from episode 9, and I actually you actually made some merch for me too. I should have wore it today. I wasn't even thinking about that.
I didn't think of that
But
either.
going back to this of whatever you think about, you'll be about. And,
say it again, Ryan,
whatever
for those in the back.
Yeah, whatever you think about, you'll be about. And that is especially when it comes to gratitude. And it's easy. It's so easy. And not to ruffle feathers here, but I think for the last, few months, everybody's just been on edge, right? Like we've had some big things happening, and, everyone's on edge. And I think it's so important to focus on this topic of gratitude. And there's so many things that we are so blessed. And in the midst of all of this, there are things that are happening, and it's just a matter of what you're going to focus on. Are you going to focus on everything that's wrong, or are you going to focus on everything that is good?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to be naive to it, but what I'm saying is that if you're constantly in your relationship focusing on everything that's wrong, guess what's going to keep happening? Everything wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, Ryan, you're not saying either to just gloss over things and be like, everything's great, so blessed, everything's great. You can still feel that. You can say, gosh, things really kind of suck right now. But looking for those tiny blessings, and it will do something in your heart.
Yeah.
I was just kind of glancing back in here too. I think the other thing, Ryan, about writing them down is, oh man, it's so good for the soul to go back and read. Even things, so-and-so, a guy named Kevin brought you a coffee from Scooters on October 12th, 2022. Like, we would never remember that, but to go back and be like, oh gosh, yeah. Adam, who helps with this podcast, he sent us a text to check in on our family. So did his, let's see here. Yeah, someone else on the team did too. So that was October of 2022. It's just, I don't know. It's really cool to look back at that.
Yeah. No, so Michelle, I want to go back to something, absolutely. There are big things that happen, and by no means are we saying that you gloss over those and say like, oh, I'm going to ignore those. Like, obviously if there's big things, to get help, to get counseling, to get pastoral help, whatever it may be to help you through that. It's just your everyday to day things. That's what I'm. That's the point that I was getting at. That's the heart behind this, of just your everyday things. Like, start to see the good in people, and as you said, I firmly believe your heart will change.
I think that that's a great word, Ryan. And I think here's some advice too: is that if you're not feeling like you're receiving blessings, maybe you just need to start with being the blessing for other people. sometimes we can get ourselves so worked up and just in a state of, just focusing on ourselves. But when you can just start focusing on other people, that's going to do something to your heart too. So be the blessing, even if you might not feel like it. Work yourself into that action. So maybe for Thanksgiving, maybe you write some cards for people. Start with your spouse, write them a card, or write a card for someone that's had an impact in your life this year. That is going to change your heart. I guarantee it. When you write that card and you send it or you leave it on, your spouse's pillow, they're going to feel so good when they open that, and you're going to feel great too. Send a text message to somebody, send a DoorDash gift certificate. We just did that for a couple this weekend. God put it on our heart so loud and clear. And I just asked Ryan, I was like, what do you think about sending this amount to this couple? And he was like, yeah, do it. So just like listening to those promptings too, I really believe that those little promptings are of God.
Yeah.
If you're in line with, the fruits of the Spirit, if you're living a life seeking Christ, and a prompting like that is on your heart, and you're wondering, oh, is that a God prompting? It probably is. If you're seeking Him and living for Him, and there's a prompting and is in accordance with all of the scriptures, that's probably from God. Yes, it is. So, maybe it's getting somebody a coffee, or bringing your spouse a coffee to their work. How nice would that be? Just cruise by with a coffee for them. I do that with Ryan. I will drive by he has a window and he can look out and see me pull by, and I'll hold up the coffee and he'll smile. But maybe you bring someone a meal, or you have a meal ready for your spouse, or just, following those promptings for your spouse and for others as we are in this Thanksgiving week. Yeah,
absolutely. Michelle, that's such a good word. And I love the examples that you gave here. And even going, to the example that you talked about, like with the DoorDash thing, part of it is, I feel like we have been so blessed by people. And I think once you feel that and you have that gratitude, then we can turn around and be a blessing to others.
It's kind of a cycle, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I think the gratitude cycle.
So activate and activate it. And then it'll be a cycle and it'll keep going.
Right.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, love it.
Perfect.
Great show.
Yeah. Michelle, do you know what time it is?
Is it mystery question
time? We forgot last week.
No, we ran out of time.
We ran out of time. Okay.
Yeah. All right. I get to pick?
You pick.
All right. Oh, we're getting low. You guys send them in.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you guys appreciate one another, and has this changed over time? Oh my gosh, this is perfect for a gratitude episode.
Yeah.
Words of affirmation is how I try to appreciate you, and acts of service, like doing things around the house, or just, just trying to do nice things for you. Although your love language is really quality time. So I try to be mindful of that too.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the question again? Can you read it for me?
We'll start back at the beginning here.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. How do you guys appreciate one another, and has this changed over time? I don't think I answered the second part.
No, good thing we read the question again.
Okay. Okay. Point taken.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect segue of
that was like the ideal question.
Like, I mean, I think it's perfect, and I do think it's gratitude is a big part of it, and I think obviously that's changed. That's changed the longer we've been married, and I think it's part of it is going back to this, is activating it, of seeing these things of like, we've shared like with communication on how we're very different, but yet how like this has changed into being like, hey, I'm really appreciative of this. Like,
sure.
I'm appreciative that you're a processor, for myself, that I'm a processor. You've said this. But I think of continually like looking for good and bringing that to your attention. Like when I see
so how do you show it though?
I think once you see it, then you say it, of, hey, Michelle, thank you so much for making dinner tonight. That's such a big help.
Sure.
Or, hey, thanks for doing the laundry. Really appreciate it. Like whenever I see you, and part of that is because I know that your love language is words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Of when I see those things, I try really hard to bring them up.
Yeah, you do a really good job of that. Now that you say that, you do a really great job. You do that often. I would say also you do acts of service for me, though. We've been on a total tea kick. There's a flavor of tea. I don't know what brand it is, like the Republic of Tea maybe or something. Does that sound right? They have a flavor called, I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but it's called pumpkin pie chai. We even have a song about it. I won't sing it, but pumpkin pie chai is the best tea and is caffeine free. So you can make it at night. And then we like froth this half and half. So it's kind of latte-like. It's like a tea latte and it's so good. And I'm obsessed with them.
Right.
And you make me one almost every night.
Yeah.
I'll be like, do you know what sounds really good? I'll sing the song about the pumpkin pie chai.
Right.
Or it's like, it's not a song. It's like a jingle.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's super sweet of you. You've made me a couple dozen of those.
Getting pretty good at it.
You are a great barista.
Yeah.
Tea barista.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's continually finding ways to serve each other, to serve your spouse. I know that's not, I think it's a countercultural statement to make, but I think that's something that is huge. And I think really kind of doing a look of am I being selfish or am I being, completely like giving, surrendering, serving
Sure.
To you.
Sure. Yeah. And I think you're right. It's changed over time just as we've gotten to know each other more and maybe appreciated more of their other person's strengths or just how you're wired.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's having an appreciation of all of those things, of strengths and who you are and, quirks, if you want to say that, of all of those things, of being really appreciative.
Yeah.
And I think that grows.
Agree. Thank you, listener, for joining us today for the Celebrate MarriageCast and our gratitude episode. We hope you have an amazing Thanksgiving, safe travels if you're going to see family. We're just so grateful for you. Like we said at the beginning, we couldn't do this show without you. We do this show for you. So we would love to hear stories of impact. You can text those in. You can call and leave a voicemail. Our MarriageCast number is 605-951-0110. We have an Instagram at Celebrate MarriageCast. We're pretty easy to find there. We post shorts and clips throughout the week. And then just share. Tag us if you have a takeaway from the show. We'd love to be tagged in that. But we just really appreciate you. And we want you to know also there are marriage resources at Celebrate.church or Celebrate.church/marriage if you are looking for some resources, or you can reach out to our marriage pastor. And that's our show.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.